In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to create a layers hamburger in Photoshop. I'm going to quickly create a new file in Photoshop. If you're not sure how to open or create new files in Photoshop, I created another video for that, so go check that out. But for now, I'm going to start by creating a new document. Here on the side, I'll click Create New. And we're going to stick to the default Photoshop size. So I'm going to click on that. Over here we can see some of the information about our document. So it's 7 inches wide by 5 inches tall. If we want to see what that looks like in pixels, we can click here. Now we see that it switches to 2100 pixels by 1500 pixels, and the resolution is 300 pixels per inch if we were going to print that out. So we'll leave everything else just the way it is, and we're going to click this blue Create button right here. And now we have our Photoshop document open and ready for the assignment. Okay, so we're only going to be using a few of the main Photoshop tools. You can find all the Photoshop tools here on the side toolbar. Okay, and the main focus of this lesson is to understand and use layers. And the layers panel is right over here on the right. You can see a list of layers down here. Right now we only have one layer. It's called the background layer. So the first thing we want to do right off the bat is we want to create a new layer. And the way we do that is we go way down to the bottom here and we click on this little plus button in this box. And you can see if I hover over that, it says create a new layer, which is exactly what I want to do. So I'll click on that. And now we have layer 1 on top of the background layer. It's almost never a good idea to draw right on the background layer because you lose control of things that you can erase. So we have layer 1, and on this first layer we are going to make the bun of our hamburger. So the idea in this lesson is to create a hamburger one layer at a time, and each layer will hold a different ingredient in our hamburger. So at the bottom of the hamburger is the bottom bun. So we're going to use the brush tool here, the brush tool, already selected actually, to draw our bun. So I'm going to click on that, and here we can see we've got a circle that we can draw with. Down here, this little box on top is the color that we're drawing with. If you click on that, you get this color picker window, and you can choose the color along the side here on this spectrum. And within that color, you can choose how bright it is, how dark it is. You get a lot of options there. So let's find a good bun color. Maybe something like that, for instance. And then we click OK. And now we want our bun to take up more space on the canvas. So what I can do is go up here. This is where my brush size is displayed. Click on this little arrow, and I can drag this back and forth to get a bigger hamburger size. Or I can type it in. Let's say I want 1000 pixels wide. There we go. That's a good size for my bun. So I can go here and I'll just click. And there is my hamburger bun. Now I'm going to go back down to my layers, and I'm going to create a second layer by clicking that little plus button. Alright, so now we can get creative and decide what do we want next on our hamburger. Perhaps we want to put some lettuce on our hamburger. So we'll click on our color and we'll choose a green, maybe a nice bright green like that. And now we want to change the size of our brush so we can draw our lettuce. Let's go down to one like that. Be a little smaller. And we're just going to draw some lettuce by going like that. And there's some lettuce. And now we can see that the lettuce is on a separate layer. So if I click this little eyeball, that turns the layer off and we can't see the lettuce. It also allows us to erase the lettuce without erasing the things underneath it. So if I go over here to my eraser tool, click on that, we can also change the size of the eraser just like we change the size of our brush tool by clicking here. And we can drag back and forth to change the size of our eraser. So if I erase my lettuce, we can see that it doesn't erase the bun. But I want to actually keep my lettuce, so I want to undo that eraser that I just did. And to undo, you go up to Edit, and you undo eraser. Notice that the shortcut is Command Z, but I can just click it here, and I can do that one more time because every time you click, that's a new action. So I have to undo two actions. I erase this little dot before I erase the whole lettuce. So I'll go back and undo eraser again, and now I've got all my lettuce back. So now I've got two layers, one bun layer and one lettuce layer. It's always a good idea to label your layers as you're working to stay organized. So if I double click on the word layer 1, I can change the name. So this first layer is the bottom bun. Hit return or enter to name it. And then this layer is the lettuce layer, so I'll double click on layer 2, and I'll type in lettuce, hit return. And now I'll create a new layer, click plus, I've got a new layer, and let's say this is going to be my actual burger. So let's find a good burger color. If you're looking for browns, they tend to be down here in this orange section. Maybe it's kind of red, maybe it's not cooked all the way through, but let's see, somewhere like that maybe. And we'll click OK. And I want my burger to be pretty big, so I'm going to go back to my brush size, maybe slightly smaller than my bun, which was 1,000 pixels. PX stands for pixels, so maybe I'll say 900 for this one. I can hit enter or return, and now you can see that it's slightly smaller, and I can just click. Oops, why didn't that work? Aha, I'm on the wrong tool. I'm on the eraser tool. I want to be on the brush tool. Notice that it's very handy in Photoshop these days. If you hover over a tool, it gives you a little demonstration of what that tool does. So you can see the brush tool in action. Also notice that there's a little B in a box next to brush tool in the demo. That's the shortcut that you can use to go straight to your brush tool. So I'm going to click on my brush tool. I changed the size of my eraser before, so now I need to change the size of my actual brush. 900 was good. Hit enter. And now I've got my color down here still. Go right here and click. And now I've got my hamburger. All right. So for the purposes of this lesson, I'm just going to add the top bun and be done with it. But I would like to see your burger have a lot more toppings, and I'd like to see more detail drawn into the different ingredients. So I'm going to make sure I'm on my brush tool. I'm going to select the same size top bun as the bottom bun, which was 1,000 pixels, like that. Hit enter. And I want to also make sure that I'm working on a new layer. This layer here, we haven't named it yet, so I'm just going to double click and call this burger. Oops, burger. And now I'll create my new layer. Double click on it and we'll call this top bun. All right. And I want my top bun to be the same color as my bottom bun. So what I can do is use a new tool called the eyedropper tool. Click on that, and this allows you to grab a color from your canvas to use in a new section. So if I click here, you can see my color was changed to my bun color, and now I can go back to my brush. I'm still at 1000, and I can click, and there's the top of my bun. Top bun, burger, lettuce, and bottom bun. So I've got, and if I want to, I can go here, and I can make my layers panel taller so I can see all of my layers. And right now they're all stacked on top of each other, so we can't see some of our other layers. But if I click on this move tool, I've got my top bun layer selected. I can move it out of the way. And then I can click and I can move this one. And I can click. Notice when I click on a layer, it selects it over here in the layers panel, and I can move my lettuce out of the way. Click this, move that. So I can see all of my ingredients, but I want to put them back to where they were. So I'm going to do one layer at a time. Move that back there. Grab the burger, move it back onto the bun. Grab the top bun, move that back onto the top there. A little bit of lettuce sticking out there is fine. All right, and so that's my burger. It's a very simple burger. You'll have more time, so you can add sesame seeds on the top bun. You can add some texture to the burger. You can add some ketchup and mustard, some pickles. Add some weird stuff, whatever you want. And then, the last thing, make sure that you save your project. I recommend saving often, save early and often. So to save it, we're going to go up to File. We're going to click Save. Actually, the first time I recommend clicking Save As. Here it's going to ask you, it might ask you, do you want to save it in the cloud or on your computer? Save on your computer. And then we give it a second. Here's that Finder window that you've seen before. We want to go to our desktop, find your folder with your name, and we're going to create a new folder. Once we've selected our name folder, we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call it Photoshop Projects. Now mine says this name is already taken because I've actually already made that folder here in my name folder. So I'm going to select that. You can see I already have a hamburger project, but I want to save this one as well. I'm going to call this one Hamburger Project 2. Leave this .psd. That tells your computer that it's a Photoshop project. Leave everything else just the same, and then hit save. And then it says Photoshop format options, and you can just say OK. And now your Photoshop project is saved. Okay, that's all you need to know to make your Photoshop hamburger. Thanks for watching.